Unit 731 full name, Kanto Army Quarantine and Irrigation Branch Kanto-gun Daiki Kyusuibu was a biological and chemical warfare unit deployed by the Imperial Japanese Army against the people of Manchuria during the Sino-Japanese War and World War II. This unit has conducted many experiments on humans. Unit 731 was a secret biological and chemical warfare research unit that conducted horrific human experiments on thousands of Chinese, Korean, and other prisoners of war. The experiments involved interventions without the use of anesthesia to study the effects of diseases and injuries in prisoners. Unit 731, which operated in the Pingfang district of the city of Harbin in Manchukuo, a puppet state that ruled under the auspices of the Japanese Empire in Manchuria between March 1, 1932 and August 18, 1945, was responsible for some of the most striking and horrific war crimes involving Japan. The region is located in today's northeast China. On February 9, 1939, Ishii gave a lecture on bacteriological warfare at the Ministry of War Grand Conference Hall in Tokyo. One of the participants was Prince Yasuhito Chichibu, brother of Hirohito 124th Emperor of Japan. The prince watched live slaughter demonstrations performed on humans by Ishii. In 1942, field tests of developed biological warfare agents began. With his unit, he performed physiological experiments on humans, including forced abortions and simulated strokes, heart attacks, freezing, and hypothermia. Ishii conducted lethal experiments on thousands of Russians and Chinese in Japanese concentration camps during the war, causing them to die. Some of the experiments carried out include removing an organ from the body without anesthesia, cutting off the limb and sewing it to another place in the body, injecting bacteria into the body and observing its effects, freezing the arms and examining the resulting gangrene, and also using them as test subjects in military weapons technologies, are among the experiments performed. The majority of the victims subjected to experiments in Unit 731 were Chinese, followed by the Soviets. The remaining small percentage consisted of Mongolian, Korean, and other prisoners of war. Approximately 70% of the victims who lost their lives in the Pingfang camp were Chinese, civilians and soldiers, and approximately 30% were Soviet. The remainder were Southeast Asians and Pacific Islanders, some of whom were colonies of the Empire of Japan. In addition, there were a very small number of prisoners of war taken from the Allied armies. Unit 731, where murderous experiments were carried out and became the grave of many people of different nationalities, was generously supported by the Japanese government from the day it was founded until the end of the war in 1945. Those who served in Unit 731 and committed war crimes there were protected by the United States and were not punished in return for sharing the data they obtained from their brutal experiments on humans. Instead of being tried for war crimes after the end of the war, American officials thought that the knowledge and experience gained on biological weapons and inhumane experiments carried out in Unit 731 could also be used within the scope of the U.S. biological weapons program. In a letter sent to Washington on May 6, 1947, Supreme Allied Commander General Douglas MacArthur stated that the information obtained from those who served in Unit 731 would be kept in intelligence channels and would not be leaked outside, and that the information obtained would not be considered as evidence of war crimes.